AITA. For telling my roommate I am tired of the crying victim mentality, my religious roommate hooks up with guys, then cries, saying she feels used. Even with her boyfriend, she keeps having sex, and then gets upset about it. I told her I'm tired of her victim mentality and don't care anymore. Now she's mad, saying I'm a terrible friend for not understanding her struggle. Hi, my roommate is really religious, and I'm not at all. She doesn't believe in sex before marriage, but she crazes male attention and sex, and it's been really bad spot for her. Before she met her current boyfriend, she would go out and hit on men at parties and basically do anything for male attention. She would ask them to sleep with her, and they would agree. Afterwards, she'd be sobbing in the living room and saying she's been used and say it'll never happen again, and it's the guy's fault, and our roommates would agree, even though she went out hoping to hook up with someone, and she did, and she would continue to do it every weekend. I find the whole thing so weird. I've had a one-night stand before, and I know there's nothing wrong with it, but she's religious, so it's different. But we'd spend all that time trying to cheer her up and make her feel better, which we did. She has a BF now, but the upsetting this is she hasn't changed. She'll go over to his house to hook up, and then I'll find her sobbing in the living room. It's been like 10 plus at this point, and she says, now that she's started, it's hard to stop having sex, but she will, and this is the last time. But then she goes over and stays at his house when we tell her not to because they'll have sex. It feels like the hooking up with randoms all over again, and I'm tired of it. I wish they'd just have a sexual relationship and I don't have to hear her cry on the couch because she can't stop having sex. I don't know why she thought it would be easier to give up sex in a relationship, but it's obviously not. Her boyfriend is religious too, so he's even said we should make sure she doesn't come over because they have sex every time she spends the night. But I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching her. I told her I don't care anymore, and I'm tired of her victim mentality when she keeps making the choices to have sex, and then we have to deal with the fallout. It's exhausting. But she's mad at me and says I'm being a terrible person and a terrible friend, and it's against her religion, and I should understand that. I don't understand. AITA for saying what I said. Relevant comments. Commenter. For the record, this isn't your responsibility. You're not required to make sure she stays away from him. OP. It absolutely isn't. But also, I don't think it's wrong to have sex before marriage, and I'd feel really weird trying to stop her. But the rest of my roommates do, but she doesn't listen anyway. So the whole thing is just exhausting. Thank you for the judgment. Commenter. NTA. I'm going to assume that this woman is an adult, which means the responsibility for herself falls onto herself. The only person responsible for her actions, and keeping her out of guys' beds is herself. However, I'm going to touch on something you wrote above that I find extremely concerning. Paraphrasing here, you said she would go to parties, seek out guys, ask them to bed, and they would agree. Then afterward, she would sob in the living room claiming she felt used, and it was all the guy's fault. And your other roommates agreed with her? TF? That has to stop. Immediately. She is making an active choice to have sexual relations outside of marriage, which she should not feel guilty about, but that is a whole other can of worms she needs to seek therapy for. What she's saying afterwards is almost giving off I didn't have a choice vibes, and I find it deeply concerning that your roommates are validating that. All it takes is saying that to the wrong person, say her very religious family, and any of the men she willingly went to bed with could find themselves in a whole heap of trouble. You are not wrong for what you said. She is responsible for choices and her actions. I don't blame you for getting frustrated. She needs to decide what she wants and stick with it, and she needs to stop dumping her lack of self-control on her roommates. Story 2. Am I the asshole for cutting off my friend because she continued to sleep with her boyfriend after she found out he had a wife and 2 kids? For context, they were going out for about 6 months when she did some digging and found out he had a wife and 2 children, then continued to talk to him a whole year after. She is 20 and he is nearing 40. He lied about many things like his age, his relationship status, the job he had, the money he was making, literally living a double life. He gave her chlamydia while she thought they were in a very serious relationship, went on business trips, but she later found out he went to Turkey with his wife so she could get a nose job. She confronted him about everything, and he managed to convince her to stay. I asked her why. Why would you stay with someone that has a wife and 2 children? You are a side piece. You are contributing to the pain of another woman. She insisted she broke up with him until she would tell me about another argument they had. This had been going on for about a year. She even met his sons and was convinced he would leave his wife, who he shares a bed with, for her and marry her. After telling her many times this is not okay and to leave him, she would not listen to me and just go behind my back, then come crying to me when she found out another lie. As of now, she insists she isn't talking to him anymore, but I'm not sure I want to surround myself with a homewrecker. Her morals don't align with mine. She is a lovely girl, and yes, he probably manipulated her, but for a whole year. This has been happening continuously, and I would spend hours consoling her and telling her she deserves better, but I guess you can't help people who don't want to be helped. I don't know if it was a trauma bond with him or he manipulated her, but I feel bad ending a friendship over that, because at the end of the day, it doesn't involve me, and it's her personal life. I have no say. I can't tell her what to do, but at the same time, I have a very tight, close circle. She's one of my only friends, and I don't want people whose morals don't align with mine. Her birthday is coming up and she has invited me to go out. I have given many excuses to not meet her over the past few months, but she doesn't get the hint and keeps on insisting. How do I tell her nicely that I'm not interested? Update. I forgot to mention that she herself told the wife about everything when she realized he wasn't going to leave the wife for her. She still stalks the wife on WhatsApp and sends me pictures of them on holiday together ECT. I don't even know what to respond. Also, her bestest friend ended their friendship over this, and she was left with no one, so I feel even more guilty to break things off as she was left broken relevant comments. Commenter, I would simply tell her the truth. You can tell her the truth nicely. It definitely doesn't have to be rude, but I wouldn't keep giving excuses, especially when she's not getting the hint. Commenter, NTA, tell her exactly how you put it here. Hey, and I think you're a generally nice person, but I can't condone what you're doing. We don't share the same morals and values, so I think it's best we split ways, or something to that effect. She's probably going to be emotional since you've been the one she cries to, but that's not on you. Commenter, NTA, it's one thing when she didn't know and was lied to. It's a whole other type of deluded to continue on, tell the wife, and still mess with a married father. She's content with being a lifelong side piece, settling for scraps and being sold dreams. She's kind of a loser, honestly. I've cut off and called out people for this in my own life. If you'll screw over someone's marriage knowingly, you won't hesitate to screw me over eventually too. No thanks. Story 3. AIO about girlfriend downplaying my birthday. My girlfriend and I are newly dating, visiting Boston for the first time. It was my birthday yesterday and I had one request. Go to the Cheers bar. That was all I wanted to do. She asked if we could hang out with her friends before we went out, so we did. I bought some really good beer for my birthday that's nationally renowned so I could take it home, and her friends who live there took one of the 4 out and drank it, knowing full well I bought it to bring home, and everyone was laughing about it thinking it was funny, which I went along with but was kind of pissed since they could literally buy this beer at any time. So I was already irritated going out. We go and eat dinner, then head out to Cheers. My girlfriend wanted to go to this speakeasy she saw on Instagram, but I wanted to go to Cheers before it closed at 10 p.m. She was clearly irritated that I wanted to go to Cheers first and wouldn't talk to me, so I got irritated about the way I was being treated. We walked in silence to the bar. We get there, and I apologize for being moody about the whole thing. I didn't feel like I had to apologize about anything, but I wanted to have a good time, and her giving me the silent treatment was making it not a good time, so I promise her I will get an Uber after my one beer to go to the speakeasy she wanted to go to. I'm bummed because Cheers was literally the one thing I wanted to do, and my GF was pouting the whole 30 minutes we were there, but I get the Uber to her speakeasy, and we go. We get there, and there's a wait, so she's clearly upset at me, but again won't talk to me, so we sit there in silence. We finally get in, she gets her drink, and she's finally happy. I'm not particularly happy because it wasn't really what I wanted to be doing on my birthday, but I go along with it. I ask her if she was happy, and she responds by saying, I am now. I was irritated before because I wanted to come here first, but I'm glad we're here. I end up snapping because it was obvious at that point that my birthday was disregarded and was turned into a day for her. I tell her I want to leave once she finished her drink, and we go home, not saying a word. I think I'm going to break up with her. There's been some concerns, but this has kind of been a tipping point. AIO by breaking up with her? Relevant comments. Commenter, she sounds selfish as hell and made your birthday all about what she wanted. She didn't care about what you wanted, not even remotely overreacting. Commenter, totally agree. Birthdays should be about the person celebrating, not her forcing her plans and disregarding your wishes. Commenter, you should still be in the honeymoon phase, being the best versions of yourselves. If this is the best version of her, I would hate to see the worst. I am sorry she made your birthday all about her wants. You are not overreacting. P.S. Belated. Happy birthday. Story 4. Wedding is next week, and my mom's having a mental breakdown over the fear of losing me. Wedding is in a week, and my mom is having a hard time accepting the fact that I'm going to start my own family. I get the feeling, and I'm trying to be supportive and understanding, but my mom's reactions and words were, frankly speaking, infuriating. She started off by giving me a silence treatment because she suggested me play a tribute song to my parents at the wedding, and instead of saying yes, I asked when she expected the song to be played. It went on for 3 days. When I finally confronted her, she said her and I were estranged. I didn't give her enough attention like I used to, and I was cold-hearted just like my dad's family. I tried to make her feel better by telling her no matter how far we were from each other, I still loved her the same. No response. It has been another 2 days. I talked to my dad and he said my mom is having a hard time. I'm at my wit's end right now because I don't want to engage with my mom after what she said did. Honestly, I feel hurt too. But also I'm not going to stay silent because all that'll do is reinforce my mom's fear that we are indeed estranged. So yeah, all that wedding planning stress plus my mother who's making me feel guilty for leaving her and for starting my own family. Edit. Thank you so much for reading my post and for your supportive words and advice. I joined this subreddit very recently, and it means so much to have the support network. What started off as a rant out of frustration and exhaustion has brought so much hope to me. Thank you. This is how my mom usually handles conflict. Silence treatment always comes first. When the other side has had enough of it and confronts her, she then starts to throw a tantrum, crying on the floor, storming out of the door in the middle of a night, throwing objects, you name it. Then after things are back to normal and conflicts are resolved, she always apologizes, more often than not with tears. My dad has been enabling it, and in fact, when I asked for his advice this time, he suggested me be a bigger person and try to understand her. I've told my best friend to be aware of the situation and watch out in case she loses control at the wedding. I'm also prepared to hear her complain I don't spend enough time with her at the wedding. I'm so hurt by what's been happening with her. When things are right, she's a loving mom, but when things are not going her way, I take the blame and the emotional toll. Comments. Commenter. She is going to do something to ruin your wedding. Have someone prepared to move her when she starts uncontrollably crying during the ceremony or reception. Commenter. I doubt she's actually having a real mental breakdown. More than likely, she's just pretending to and attempts to gaslight you into giving in to her demands. Her behavior sounds extremely like a spoiled child who was told no for the first time in her life. Has she always been this demanding and controlling over aspects and decisions in your or other people's life? Pouted, given the silent treatment, or thrown a tantrum when she doesn't get her way until people finally just give in? As you say, you're about to get married and start your own family. It sounds like your mother has just realized what that might mean. Your main focus will, rightfully, shift even more towards your new partner and family and away from mom. She's realizing she could and should be about to lose that control over you and your life she's held onto for so long as you begin to prioritize the best interests of your new family. Her throwing a tantrum to try to get you to do things she wants at your wedding is her attempt to reassure herself that she'll still have that power and control over you after you get married. Don't give in. It's your wedding. It's your life. It's your choice, not hers. Commenter. Yeah, that's not normal. Normal parents would be over the moon having their child start their families. You can't really control how she acts and feels. She's trying to make you responsible for how she feels. But not only are you not responsible for her feelings, she is going to act out regardless of what you say or do. Focus your energies on your wedding and new family. It is your day, not hers. But also take steps to prevent her pulling any bullshit the day of. Commenter. Since she is wanting to play these types of games, she can play the silent treatment at home while your wedding is occurring. Make sure she is uninvited, and I would prepare to have her removed, barred from entering if she does attempt to show up. If your mom was afraid of estrangement, then she should not have behaved in such a manner to create this much stress on you. Happy, normal, functioning parents would be beyond happy to see their child grow into the adult they are. Your mother is upset that she's losing control. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest ones. Have a great day.